Most people believe loneliness is a flaw that needs to be corrected as soon as it appears. The moment they feel that quiet emptiness inside their chest, they assume something is wrong with them. They label the feeling as failure, weakness, or proof that they are falling behind in life. Instead of listening to it, they panic. Silence starts to feel uncomfortable, even threatening. And without thinking, they rush to escape it. That pressure in the chest doesn't feel logical, but it feels urgent. Your body tightens, your thoughts race, and suddenly being alone feels unbearable. The mind convinces you that something must be done immediately, not because danger is real, but because discomfort feels intolerable. Stillness feels like a signal that you're being left behind. So you move, even when movement has no direction. You start reaching outward. You text people who rarely respond with the same energy. You refresh your phone, waiting for replies that arrive late or not at all. Each pause feels heavier than the last. Each unread message quietly chips away at your sense of worth. What began as loneliness slowly turns into anxiety. You force conversations that don't feel natural. You stay in rooms where your presence barely matters. You listen, nod, smile, and perform interest, just to avoid sitting with yourself. Being unseen feels painful, but being alone feels worse. So you tolerate emotional emptiness in exchange for physical company. You laugh at jokes that don't move you. You agree with opinions you don't believe in. You stretch yourself thinner just to belong somewhere. Over time, you forget what genuine connection feels like. Everything becomes about distraction, not meaning. And the more you do this, the more disconnected you feel from yourself. All of this happens because you are trying to escape one feeling: the fear of being alone with your own thoughts. The fear of facing yourself without noise. The fear that silence might reveal something you don't want to see, so you keep filling the space, even when it costs you peace. But what if loneliness isn't the real problem at all? What if the pain doesn't come from being alone, but from believing that being alone means something is wrong with you? What if loneliness is not a warning, but an invitation? An invitation you were never taught how to understand. Here's the part no one really talks about. The moment you start chasing people to escape loneliness, you quietly give away your power. It's not because people are cruel or manipulative, but because neediness changes your internal posture. You stop standing in yourself and start leaning on others for stability. When you need attention to feel okay, your energy shifts. You become hyper-aware of tone, timing, and responses. You overanalyze messages. You replay conversations in your head. Your nervous system stays on high alert. Slowly, without realizing it, you train your mind to believe your worth depends on how others respond to you. Some people can sit alone and feel calm, grounded, even confident. Others can be surrounded by people and still feel invisible. That difference has nothing to do with charm, looks, or social skills. It has everything to do with self-connection. One person feels anchored within themselves. The other is constantly searching for reassurance outside. Loneliness hurts because it activates an ancient survival system in your brain. Thousands of years ago, being alone meant danger. No tribe meant no protection. Your nervous system hasn't evolved past that instinct. It doesn't know the difference between physical isolation and emotional disconnection. So when you're alone, your body reacts first. Your chest tightens. Your breathing becomes shallow. Restlessness creeps in. Subtle fear whispers that something is missing. Then your mind steps in to explain the sensation. And most of the time, it chooses self-blame. It tells you that you're failing, undesirable, or falling behind. But the people who grow the most are often the ones who stop running from this feeling. They don't drown it in noise, don't numb it with constant distraction. They sit with it long enough to understand it. And in that stillness, something important happens. They begin hearing their own thoughts clearly. When you're constantly socializing to avoid being alone, you rarely ask honest questions. You don't ask what you actually want. You don't notice what drains you. You don't question whether your life feels aligned or just impressive on the surface. Solitude removes that noise. It strips away external expectations. At first, that silence feels uncomfortable, sometimes even painful. But that discomfort is your mind detoxing from validation addiction. It's your nervous system learning how to regulate itself again. Slowly, your thoughts settle. Your awareness sharpens. You start recognizing patterns you couldn't see before. Most people fear being alone because it forces them to face themselves without filters. There's no performance, no roles to hide behind, no applause to lean on. Just you, exactly as you are. And that can feel terrifying if you've spent years measuring yourself through reactions and approval. But that space is also where real confidence is built. Not confidence borrowed from attention, not confidence fueled by praise, but confidence rooted in self-trust. Knowing that even if no one is watching, you still move forward, you still choose yourself. When you stop chasing people, you stop negotiating your boundaries. You stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. You stop shrinking just to fit into conversations that don't nourish you. Your energy becomes quieter, but stronger. Less reactive, more grounded. Something subtle shifts when this happens. People start responding to you differently. Not because you changed tactics, not because you tried harder, but because you stopped trying to be chosen. You chose yourself first. And the human nervous system recognizes that instantly. Being alone teaches emotional self-sufficiency. You learn how to sit with boredom without panicking. You learn how to process emotions without outsourcing them. Silence stops feeling like punishment, becomes a space for clarity. You become more observant, more intentional. Your words carry weight. This doesn't mean rejecting connection or isolating yourself forever. It means you stop treating connection like oxygen. Relationships should enhance your life, not stabilize your identity. The strongest bonds form when two whole people meet, not when two people are trying to escape themselves. If you feel lonely right now, don't rush to fix it. Ask what it's trying to teach you. Maybe it's asking you to slow down. Maybe it's revealing that you've been living someone else's script. Maybe it's inviting you to build a deeper relationship with yourself first. Loneliness is not a sign that you're failing at life. Often, it's a sign that you're between versions of yourself. Old distractions no longer satisfy you. New clarity hasn't fully arrived yet, and in-between space feels empty, but it's fertile ground. So stop chasing people. Stop forcing presence where it doesn't flow. Let the silence do its work. Learn to sit with yourself until your own company feels steady, not heavy. Because when connection becomes a choice instead of a craving, your entire life begins to change.